Good evening YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Outsiders channel. And this is a reply video. It's not going to be one of the videos in the link of videos I'm doing. I'm putting those videos under an AV number, that means advanced video number. I've just started doing, I did the last one AV3. I'll label up the other ones over the weekend and get some of the small issues out of the way that I'm suffering from at the moment. But this video is all about D&D Next, as Lichen 101 offered up the challenge about what do we think about it, what's the community's thoughts on it and some views, so I think it's a good one to jump in on at this point. Now, as you may previously remember from videos that I've released before, I think people could probably clearly see that I had a pretty good inside track into what was coming, pardon the pun, next. And I did give you some serious indications about this. So there are certain things I can't talk about, but what I can talk about, I can talk about D&D Next in terms of my hopes, my thoughts around it, and what I think it will do. And in some ways this will relate a little bit to some of the advanced videos, and I suppose that's probably the best place to start, is why D&D Next. Some people might be wondering why D&D Next is being pitched the way that it's being pitched, because if you read between the lines and you start looking at it, I think a lot of you guys on the community will be thinking, well, you know, it's trying to be all things to all men and women. Can it do that? It's trying to look at its past, it's trying to look at what it's currently doing, it's trying to look just over the recent history of its own run. And it's trying to make a system that can be universally appealing to different players and different GMs. And some people will say, you know, you can't please everybody, but there is a very big fundamental point here, and one that can easily be missed if you don't think about the picture as a whole. You may recall that I've started doing videos about, you know, as a GM, understanding your players and things like that. Well, having a system that allows you as the GM to tailor it to the past, the present, and the current, and the future as well, obviously is a huge advantage, because you can tailor it around what you like, what your group likes. And that's a fantastic thing. That's not a negative thing in the slightest. That actually makes a total amount of sense. And you have to look at the concept of the reasons behind the strategy and why this would be the case. Why are they trying to do this? And I suppose the easiest thing that I can do, and it's the only way of illustrating this, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go off camera slightly here. Well, I didn't even think about this till I was just talking on the video. But I've got the books quite close by, is to grab out of the bag. You can hear the dice rattling, typical DM really, is to grab out of my bag my current Pathfinder book. Now, this book is, as you know, we've reviewed it, it's a monster. This is what the word, where we use the word crunchy, this is where the word crunchy comes in, because this is a beast. This particular book obviously covers pretty much all the rules very, very well. You know, there's not many grey areas and stuff like that. It has a battle mat, it has strategies, tactical stuff and all that sort of gear. And that might be quite appealing to a large number of people. From a personal point of view, yes, you know, some of the things that D&D, because in essence, you know, let's not lose sight of something here. In essence, this is just really a continuation of the Third Era engine. That's really what it is. It's like a D20. It's like a D20 system packaged in a different way. They've done a very, very good job with it, and there's many reasons for their success. Many reasons. But quite a bit of the success comes from the fact that there isn't anybody to rival them. 4th edition just did not work, and I'm not going to go down that track and discuss that here. We've had that conversation in the previous video. But where I'm going with this is that Pathfinder, as an example, on the yin and yang that we spoke about the other day, very much is one of the crunchy systems. And if you think about crunch, and you think about systems of that type, it's going to appeal to the types of players that like power gaming, the types of players that like tactician stuff. It's going to appeal to them, and it's going to appeal less to the role-playing types, the real method actors, the real storytellers. And yes, a good GM will of course put those elements in there, but as a system, just as a system, it just does not appeal to those people, because those aren't the things that the system is focusing on. This isn't like looking at a game like, for example, Vampire the Masquerade, where it's all about the background, the various races, the whole backstory that you have to get yourself involved in, and the real, you know, sense of theatre that it creates. That's almost sort of, you know, the other scale of it, really, in terms of this yin and yang. Now, what D&D Next is clearly trying to do is trying to pitch itself for whatever people want to do. And that is a fantastic and absolutely right, natural transition to do. And interestingly, what they're competing against with releasing D&D Next, because I'm hoping, personally, I'm hoping that it's going to be a massive success for lots of reasons. But I really am, because you can't have in the marketplace one major RPG, which is Pathfinder. You can't have one major RPG. You have to have at least two or three, because without them, independent rival companies will struggle to get a fan base. You do need different types of RPGs. And we've had a transition period over the last 15 years, and I've talked about this in some of my videos, and I've alluded to it a little bit in what we're discussing at the moment in my advanced video stuff, that a lot of the systems over the last few years have really gone down a road of crunchy. I mean, some people use the word very well, actually, on the videos and some of their replies about the word power creep. They're absolutely right. Of course, the power creep has really crept in, and it's got worse and worse and worse with every edition. Of course it has. And it's almost tailored the market to a certain type of player. So if you're coming in, I mean, you think about this, if you're coming into role-playing now, and over the last 10 or 15 years, you've seen a lot of D20, third era, Pathfinder type products. They're built off the same sort of engine. It encourages a certain type of play. I know that many of you are very good GMs, and of course you're going to look for different qualities in the players, but what I'm talking about here is a generalisation, a fact, that it's going to generally produce more of those types of players. And if you actually start weighing up your group of players, if you find that the swing of the players, and we'll cover this off in other videos, but if you find the swing of your players is more towards this sort of power gaming tactician sort of side, that's a lot of pressure as a GM to produce those types of games and want to run those games. It's much harder to switch them onto other types of games. So that's why I'm really hopeful that D&D Next is a big success, because it will allow the GMs a huge amount of flexibility to tailor it to the very groups that sit around their table. And you can put in anything and bolt out anything that you think is going to work for you. So if you really want, because you can see the need for it to have a tactical map involved in your game, because you've got those types of players around your table, great. But you don't have to. If you want to sort of take certain elements out of it, maybe for example, you want to take away some of the ways that skills work, because I mean this again is something that they're doing within D&D Next to make it again a much more quick thinking, reacting type of game, which really suits certain types of players a lot, but still doesn't detract away from the two different sides of the coin. And these are the sort of things why D&D Next is a really good idea. Now, obviously, proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the products, and the proof will be in the job that they do to market it. But one of the things they must do to market Next well is effectively they've not only got to just release a product. This is, I'm sorry to use Pathfinder because I've got a lot of respect for Paizo and what they do. I think they did Paizo, but the bottom line is, if this was D&D Next sitting here now, this is only worth 30% of the price. We've discussed this. The rest comes from you. You've got to be sold on that product to install the passion into it for the players sat around that table to want to go out and buy the books. That is the basics, but companies don't seem to be putting any effort into the GMs, and that's a terrible shame. That's a tragedy, and more of that has to happen for D&D Next to be a commercial success, in my view. You've almost got to, exactly like we said, take it from being GMing as a talent to GMing as a skill. Give people the tools to do a good job. Yes, there will be exceptional individuals, of course there will, and there'll still be incredibly talented individuals out there, like many of you people. But you give these people an inside track, give families a chance to do it, and it could explode again. We could have another generation where it's important, because you have to think as well, we're in a marketplace now where, let's be honest, consoles, they've been around a while now, haven't they? Xbox 360, PS3's been around quite a while. And, those products are all well and good, but they're getting old. And the reason why companies aren't producing, the PS4 and Xbox, whatever it's going to be, probably, I don't know, 640 or whatever it will be next. The reason they're not doing that is because it's going to cost so much money and people can't afford that. So role-playing games can have another golden age. It can always have another golden age because families are going to need to spend more time. They ain't going to be able to go out as much as they used to. They don't have the viable money. There isn't the in the economies around the world right now, there isn't that sort of disposable income that existed before. So role-playing could have a renaissance again, a very big one as well, because it just requires pen, paper and imagination, and that's the reality, and that's what's so exciting about our hobby. And that's what looks so exciting to me about D&D Next. Now, the playtesting is critical in it. They have to do a 2-year playtest. There's absolutely no doubt about that. They have to go on the feedback of that playtest. This is going to be a long video, by the way, because it's over 10 minutes now. So how long this is going to take to load up, I don't know. But I'm going to keep whittering on for the moment. So they've got to have a good playtest. They've got to rely on the feedback that people give. I think that's critical. I'll know, probably myself personally, I'll know really quickly, because from a DMing point of view, whether I'm happy with the direction that they're actually finally chosen to go in, because that's one of the problems when you're games design. You can submit as many ideas as you like and all the rest of it, but ultimately they're going to make their decision and go with what they want, whether you get paid or not. Well, you get paid, because if you're no good, you wouldn't. But they'll go with what they want to do. Now you're going to know, and I'll know, in the beta rules alone, you'll know if it's going to be a success. I knew as soon as I saw the Pathfinder beta rules that they were onto something there. They had adapted it enough to make it exciting. They created some ripples that were fun and generally fitted a lot of the groups that I was DMing for at the time. And I have my hang-ups with Pathfinder, as I do with any system, of course. You're not going to please all the people all the time. But as a system, I've said all the way along, it's a phenomenal one. But my favourite system is Warhammer 3rd Edition, which sort of, oddly enough, sits bang in the middle of this yin and yang tree. You can pretty much bolt it however you want it to go. And that's sort of the route that I think they're clearly going to go in. Now, one of the sad parts, I think, that Lichen talked about, Lichen 101 in his video, was the fact that Monty Cook's gone from the team. I think that is a sad loss, because if you read between the lines, it clearly, Mike Merles was not expecting it. It was a bolt out of the blue. We'll probably never know at this stage the reasons why. His hands will be tied, like a lot of games designers. He won't be able to speak about it, and he won't be able to go into details about it. Naturally, I personally think that having him on the team is phenomenal, or was phenomenal, and added a huge amount of weight to the end product. But they're already at that stage of development, to be honest, where the rules are written, a lot of it's already done. It's just fine-tuning now, which is going to come through the playtest. And I'll personally know, as I've said, right away within the beta rules, I'll know if it's something I'm going to enjoy and whether I'm going to find some mileage in it. My hope for the game is that it allows people to experience other sides of the spectrum that exist in role-playing. Definitely the marketplace is desperate for a success. And funny enough, I think the omens are good. They always seem to do well on odd numbers. So D&D Next, if you want to call it that, D&D 5th, whatever way you want to break it down. Yeah, it's a good omen, really. I think it should do very well. It should be good, and it should do well. I think they've learnt some very valuable lessons from 4th, irrespective of my views on 4th edition or anybody else's. They've certainly learnt a lot from it, and 4th would have brought in some audience that will need to be tailored for. So, yeah, I'm excited about D&D Next. I'm looking forward to seeing the rules come out at the end of May, which I'm pretty confident they will do. Obviously, we'll cover that off in videos as well. But I wanted to respond to Lichen in a fair video, an unbiased video, and a video to explain a little bit more about, I hope, another side of the coin that maybe not everybody would look at. Anyway, that's really enough time, I think, on this. I've been Sean Connors. This has been Outsiders. Happy gaming to you, and as always, may the 4th be with you. I shall look forward to doing more videos for you all over the next few days and coming weeks, and it's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be back amongst the RPG Brigade, who have done a sterling job, may I say, in our absence. It's wonderful to see how the community has grown. The comments are absolutely fantastic that you guys have given out and are really very, very welcoming. I really appreciate it. And also as well, as I say, anything that you guys feel that need to be covered off or challenged or anything at all, that's the point. Keep those challenges coming. Let's keep it as fresh as possible, and let's look forward to where the next set of videos take us. Anyway, till then, take care and happy gaming. Bye bye.